Okay, so now I'm about to share with you the easiest bohemian inspired DIY in this entire video. So I have these beads, as you see, from Dollar Tree, and they came in a pack of 3 different variety assortments. They have the medium large, medium small, and then the smallest. So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to take this earring hoop that I already had on hand, and I'm simply going to thread the smallest one of the beads, and I'm going to thread them through the earring hoop as such. And this is going to make for such a cute little bohemian inspired earring set. Just take any simple hoop that's thin enough to fit, and as you see, I'm just going to keep stringing them on and stringing them on until I complete the entire earring loop. And that's absolutely it for this DIY craft. Nothing left to do but to finish it out here, and you're going to repeat the exact same process one more time. And here's your little set of bohemian inspired hoops a la Dollar Tree. I love them. I think they're just unique and different, and I'm gonna have fun wearing these. And the best part about it is that I put them together myself in no time at all with Dollar Tree beads. Okay, so next up, I have this little square vase from the Dollar Tree. I've had it on hand for a while, and Dollar Tree is now coming out with this new macrame cord that they put out from the Crafter Square section. And we're just gonna go ahead and try to boho this up a little bit. Nothing too difficult or complicated, because I am by far not an expert on macrame. So the first thing I'm going to be doing is I'm going to measure out the circumference of this entire little glass here and cut out a section. Okay, so after we cut off that section that's going to wrap around the vase, I'm gonna come in and I'm gonna cut off a couple of strands, roughly I want to say about 6 to 8 inches long, and I'm going to use this strand to measure out the rest. And I don't have precise measurements, I'm just kind of eyeballing it here, so feel free to whip out your measuring stick and measure them off, but I'm not, and I'm just going to continue to cut off as many strands that I feel I need for this project, and we're going to continue to do so. Okay, so I cut off roughly about 12 strands here. If we need more, I'll cut out some more as we go along, but like I said, I'm just going to be winging this, so we'll see how that goes. So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to take this string and I'm going to fold it in half like that and get like a crease so that I know that this is my center point, and I'm gonna make my first loop at that center point. I'm just gonna tuck it under and push it through that loop and pull it through, and I'm going to create sort of like a little slip knot, if you will, and I'm going to continue this process until I get this little cord here at least pretty much full. And I'm just going to continue to follow this process, no rhyme or reason. Just continue to loop these little strands on this piece of string until I, get it to where my eyes are satisfied and I think it's, full enough. And I'm going to continue on doing this in this method. Okay, so here's what you should be left with after looping all those little strands onto the string, sort of like a little skirt we're making here. And so I did go ahead and cut off a couple of extra more pieces of that string because it was a little shy of making it around the sides. So now I want to try my hand at making what they call a square knot. So from what I've seen, I'm going to start out by taking the last piece on each end, and I'm just going to pull it to the side like that, because we're not going to use those pieces right now. And then you're going to take 4 strands, 1, 2, 3, 4. And the best way that I could describe it is that you're going to be creating like a number 4, like that. So you're going to cross this over these 3, right? Then you're going to press this down, take this string, put that over that piece, and then you're going to come underneath these 2 center pieces, and then you're going to push this one up underneath the number 4 and pull it through. And so that creates half of your square knot. You're not going to pull it through completely tight because remember, this is only half. So now you're going to repeat the same steps on the opposite side. So you want to create a number 4 as well. So you're creating that number 4 like that, and then you're going to put this on top, hold that down, then you're going to come underneath those 2 pieces, and you're going to try to thread it up through the hole in the number 4. Honestly, it doesn't really help that these strings are so frayed like that, but we're going to try. So once again, as you see, I'm making like the number 4. Then I'm going to bring this one on top of that. Then I'm going to put it underneath the project as such. And then I'm going to come up through that loop in the number 4. And I'm going to pull it. And this is what I mean, that it doesn't really help that the ends are frayed like that, because it's hard to keep the project intact. But you get my drift. And so now I'm going to come in and do the same thing on the opposite side. And I'm going to continue this process all throughout this little skirting thing so that we can wrap it up and tie it around our vase. Okay, and here's what you should be left with after a series of those square knots. And so now you're ready to just tie off a knot around the back of your glass. And I'm just going to lay it down flat as such and tie a regular simple old knot. And I'm just tying it off in a regular knot. This is what it looks like in the back, and this is what it looks like around front. Overall, I'm very happy and pleased. It does dress it up and give it that bohemian flair. If I had to do it all over again, I probably would have cut the strings a little bit longer, because my intention was to add some beading to it on the bottom or around back. I mean, I still could add a couple of beads to the strands there or whatever, but then it would probably keep from me being able to tighten it. But overall, I'm happy with how it came out, and I hope I inspired you to think outside the box and dress up some of these little Dollar Tree glassware. Okay, so for this next DIY, I'm going to try my hand at creating a feather using some of this Crafter Square macrame ribbon. So this was a last minute thought, because I had some strands here that I cut out from another project and I didn't want them to go to waste. So what I did here to start was I just took, a strand and I folded it in half, and then I took the top portion and I wrapped some tape around it to create like a needle, if you will, just so that I can thread those 2 beads through for now. So I'm just gonna leave that like that, because if anything, it'll hold it into place. So now I'm just gonna start off by wrapping the feathers. So the way I thought to do it is I'm just gonna take a strand of this macrame cord, fold it in half, and I'm going to loop it through, one to the left and one to the right. So This is the first one that I'm going to start with. So then the next one, I'll take it and fold it in half and do the same thing, but this time I'll be looping it on the right side. So if you see what I'm doing here, so we have one left, one right. So we're going to keep doing one left, one right, one left, one right. So as you see here, I'm simply just filling up the strand, and each time I loop one through on one side, I follow the same step and procedure on the opposite side. So I just did this one to the left. So now I'm going to do another one to the right. And I'm going to continue doing this. I'm not going to bore you with it because you see me do it already a couple of times. And I'm going to continue to do this one left, one right, one left, one right. It's such a simple and easy project to do, very beginner friendly. I am by no means a macrame expert at all, but this is just an idea that I had to try to create this. Okay, so here's a look at what we got going on after finishing out all those strands and looping it onto that center there. I did go ahead and remove the tape from the top portion because this is where we're going to hang it from. It's going to create our little hanger. Now the nice thing about this string is that it unravels pretty easily, as you see there on the bottom that it's frayed. So I'm just gonna come in with my little handy dandy pet brush, also from the Dollar Tree, and I'm going to start to unravel all of these strands and brush them out as such. Okay, so here's a look at what we got going on after brushing out one side. This is that side, so we're going to go ahead and brush out this side as well, so that then we can come in with our scissor and cut around and get that feather shape that we're looking for. All right, so here's kind of where I'm getting my inspiration from and what I'm going by. This little feather that I have here from the Dollar Tree is just a little trinket tray. So I'm just gonna set it right here, and I'm gonna kind of like try to cut around like that, if you will, just to try to keep me centered, if you see what I'm doing here, because this is not going to be an easy task. So, and guys, I cannot emphasize enough that the proper tools for the proper job are the best thing, because I found out the hard way that, yeah, these scissors are trash. I basically need a new pair of scissors. That's not doing it. So what I did learn is that this little Crafter Square roller cutter from the Dollar Tree works perfect for this, because I was able to get a nice sharp crisp cut. So I'm just gonna, if it ain't broke, don't fix it. I'm gonna continue to do what I was doing with that roller and just cut it off as such. I'm just going to roll it along as such, and you do have to go over it a couple of times, but it does come off. So I'm going to continue trying to get that feather shape. So that's it, guys. This is about as symmetrical as it gets. I love the fact that it's organic looking and natural, and it was just so simple and easy to do. You saw what I did. The steps were easy peasy. 1, 2, 3. I've been wanting one of these for a long time, and the prices on these things, because it's macrame, I don't know, for some reason are pretty steep. So I decided to take a stab at it and make it myself, and I'm so glad that I did. Only piece of advice that I would give should you try to recreate is definitely use that rotary cutter to shape it out, to give it an even shape. And that's about it. Don't use the scissors, use the rotary cutter, and have at it. Good luck to you, and I hope yours comes out fantastic, and I hope you enjoy it just as much as I'm going to enjoy mine. Bye-bye. All right, so for this next boho inspired decor, I'm going to be using a piece of this nautical rope from the Dollar Tree, and this is just their 6-foot rope. And I'm going to be using one of the 8-inch round reefs that they carry. This comes in a 2-pack, but I'm only going to be using the one. And so what I'm going to do to begin, first I'm going to take it off of this thing. And for starters, I'm going to be unraveling this thing. So I'm going to be unraveling this bad boy. It has 3 strands, as you see, and it's all twisted together. So I'm going to try to get a bigger bang for my buck and untwist this so that I can have 3 strands to work with instead of 1, and it makes more sense that way. So here's a look at that rope once you got it separated into 3 different strands. And 1 strand I took and I measured out about 6-7 inches, and I cut the whole entire strand. So 1 strand gives you a dozen of these 6 or 7 inch little branch thingamajiggies. So to begin, I'm gonna start by just doing that little knot by looping it and tucking it over the bar. If you see what I'm doing here, I'm simply just tucking it and then pulling down and then giving it a good tug so that it attaches to that reef. So I'm gonna continue in the same form until I get all the way around. And what I like about this particular nautical rope is that you get a pretty decent amount of it, and you get a good bang for your buck when you separate it into 3 strands like this, because it gives you a lot more and it comes apart so easily. If you see it while I'm doing this, it's already framed. So that's what we want for this particular project anyway. It might not be the case for every single project, but for this particular project, that's what we need because we want that frame. So I'm going to continue doing this until I get all the way around, and then we'll move on. Okay, so what I wanted to show you here is that from this bar on the reef to this bar, it took 8 of these little loops to fill this out. So I want to say, if my math is correctly, judging by this, it'll be 8, 16, 24. So you need 24 of these little loopies to go around the entire reef. Okay, so I put down the first 16. And now it's time to put down the last 8 to complete the 24 on the first go around. And so this is all I've been doing. And this is a project that you can just put on a video, play some music in the background, catch up on some YouTube channels, whatever you desire, and just, it's pretty relaxing and calming. I like crafts like these that don't involve any paint or glue. Those are my favorite kind of crafts in the whole wide world. As long as it doesn't have any paint or glue, yes, give me all the crafts without paint and glue. So I'm just gonna continue wrapping these little thingamajiggies onto the reef until I finish it out. Okay, so now that we finished connecting all our little loopies to the first layer, we're gonna go up to the second level, the next tier, which is this one right here, and we're gonna do the same thing that we've been doing all this time. Just follow that same pattern and loop these on until we complete our ring. Okay guys, so sometimes the projects that you think are going to be the easiest, smooth sailing, simplest, because there's no glue, no paint, no nothing, like I said, are the ones that give you the most grief. And you know I like to share the good, the bad, and the ugly with you, and some of the behind the scenes. So I got as far as this, and this was the last ring that I had to fill, and I actually ran out of this nautical rope, and I wasn't trying to run back out to Dollar Tree right now. So I did find a piece in my stash, but honestly, it was not the same size and thickness. When I noticed when I was starting to take it apart, how this string was a lot thinner than this, if you see what I mean. So I decided to just leave 2 strands, because 2 strands makes about as much as the 1 strand on the other one. And if you notice, it's actually even a slight difference in color. It's probably not picking up on camera, but this nautical rope is actually a tad more on the creamier side, and this one is a little more white. But you know, I'm gonna rock and roll with it, and I'm gonna make it work and hope for the best. Fingers crossed that it pans out the way I, have envisioned in my mind. But I just thought that I would share that with you. Sometimes we just have to make the best with whatever we have at hand. And so hopefully this will work out. So I'm going to continue to finish this and rock it out with this double spare nautical rope that I found in my craft stash, so that we could finish this project out. All right, so this is how it looks with the second row rocked out. And I'm not going to worry about the third row because I'm going to put something there. We're not going to be using any rope there. So now I'm just going to go ahead and come in and lift up all the top pieces as such and put it inside so that I could start brushing out the bottom row. And I'm going to be doing this all the way around my wreath to separate all those little hairs. So you're going to want to take your time doing this. And what I'm using here is just the regular Dollar Tree pet brush from the pet care section. And this is what I'm brushing out the hairs with. But you want it to look like this versus this. So you don't want it to be all matted. So I'm going to take out all the matte and try to make the whole entire thing as such, but it's very time consuming, so you can't be in a rush for this, that's for sure. But I'm gonna continue to go all around until I achieve my desired look. Okay, so here's a look at what we got going on so far, and I've worked my way up to the second tier already. So this is the first layers on the bottom, as you see, and then the second layer on the top. So I'm working my way around little by little, flipping the top over as such, and then brushing them out. Okay, so here's a look at what our boho sunburst wall hanging is looking like, and I'm thinking that it's looking fantastic. So now I'm going to be adding something to the center for a treatment, but I'm thinking I don't want to use any kind of glue on this because I don't want it to seep out and damage any of the fringe that I worked so hard to create. But anyway, I'm jumping the gun. Let me just show you what I'm going to be putting here. So I purchased this natural rope wall art from Five Below. I paid $5.55. It's a 2-piece set. It comes with a big one and the smaller one. So the smaller one actually fits perfect right there in the center. So how cool is that? So I'm thinking, and the great thing about it is that it actually has a hanger on it, but I don't think I'll be able to attach it from the hanger. We'll see. But anyway, what I decided to do is I found this super glue permanent mounting tape at the Dollar Tree, and it says it's for indoor and outdoor, and it's moisture resistant, and it holds up to 20 pounds. So this thing is so light, so I'm sure that it's gonna be fine. So I'm thinking I'm just gonna go ahead and put a couple of strips of this tape around this this last bar here, and then call it a finished project and tape that right off. So let's go ahead and stop talking and do it. So I decided that since it has like 3 little crossbars, see the crossbar right there? I hope it's showing on camera. But anyway, this is the little crossbar. So it has one here, and one there. So I'm just gonna put this tape on those 3 crossbars so that it doesn't fall through, because this bar is kind of thin, and since this wall hanging has this lip over here, it'll be perfect and it won't show. So that's what I decided to do. So we have the crossbar. So now it's just a matter of peeling this up and attaching it on. Okay, so hopefully this will be enough, and you'll see what I'm doing here. It's just, you just gotta peel that top layer off of those 3, and what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna put it like this under in case I want to hang it from that, and I'm going to press it down into place. And hopefully that'll do the trick, and that's all she wrote. So I'm showing you a view from the back that I did have to go over and like cross and force, if you will, and make kind of like a T, just to reinforce it, because it wasn't quite adhering to the wall decor itself. It was just holding on to the bars. And now we have it nice and secure, and we could even lift it up through that loop in the back, flip it over, and there you have it. My Dollar Tree / Five Below wall decor, bohemian inspired wall decor, and I am just loving it. I'm really loving the aesthetics of it. It's just, I'm so proud of this project, and so I hope I inspired you to recreate it. Like I said, you can loop it through this. You can probably hang it. If it's not long enough, I could always use a piece of this rope as well and attach it to the back, but we're gonna see how it looks hanging it from the rope. And there you have it, guys. That completes this project. Hope you like.